once again, my son, something has happened to my son under her watch. And once again, she wasn't being an adult. She wasn't being a parent taking care of an autistic child.
He did have a really good weekend, actually. When we come home from having supper that evening, he was playing. When he went to bed, when I told him to go to bed, he said, "I love you, Mama," and he said, "I love you, puppies." A little later in the evening, I myself went to bed, and when I went to wake him up for school, he wasn't here.
Katie was pretty adamant about having a good weekend, which meant my son wasn't misbehaving in her point of view.
I personally think we should all be working together to find Sebastian, because Sebastian is an awesome person who deserves to be home.
Katie, let me ask you, the night, Sunday night, when you said there was a noise, what type of noise do you think that was that you heard?
I'm not honestly sure. It sounded like he was messing with stuff in his room, which was not uncommon, which is why I said, "Hey, I don't know what you're doing in there, but you're supposed to go to sleep."
Okay. So you didn't check on him at that time, but did you check on him at midnight? Did you flip the light on and look to see if he was in the bed at midnight when you got up to go to bed?
No, and because I didn't have any reason to. You know, when he was little, I used to check on him all the time, but he's older now and he's 15, and y'all can figure out why a mother may not want to necessarily pop into a teenage boy's room unexpectedly.
Yeah. Let's see. Well,
So my discussions were actually taken care with Chris. And Sebastian was supposed to come live with me. Chris was working on Katie, on getting her to agree to it. And all I wanted was my son to come live with me.
When I told him to go to bed, he did. He said, "Good night, Mom, I love you."
Katie says she went to wake up Sebastian around 6 a.m. Monday for school, and he was gone. Within minutes, Katie says she was on the phone with Chris, who was working out of town, and they quickly called 911.
He's not a runner. He's never run away before. I don't know why. I don't know why he walked out that door.
We went and picked up our niece. I got a call and asked if I could go and pick her up, and I did. And so we went and did that. We went to BJ's. Had a good time there. He ate a colossal popcorn. Came home to put groceries away because we bought snacks because, you know, he's 15 and snacks. We went to the bowling alley, and then from there we went to dinner. Came home. He took out the trash. That's his chore. He takes the can to the end of the driveway. About 9 o'clock, told him to go to bed. He come out of his room where he was playing. He said, "All right, good night, Mama. Good night, puppies. Love you." And went to bed. He was doing something in his room because about an hour later I heard some noise, and I was like, "Don't care what you're doing in there, but go to sleep." And about midnight I got up and I went to bed. And 6 o'clock, I went to wake him up for school Monday morning, and that's when he wasn't here.
Seth, you know Katie better than all of us, obviously. You know your son so well. Is there anything in that story that doesn't make sense to you?
The inconsistencies, from what I've heard before, none of it makes sense. Things aren't, you know. I'm not here to sling mud, but why is she asking Chris to verify what she did on Sunday when Chris wasn't here on Sunday?
That is such...
Or the fact that she said that she heard a thump on another interview and didn't bother to check on our son. You know, there's a difference between some noise or a thump. I mean, the information that I received from watching any of their podcasts don't make sense.
So that night you go to bed at midnight after you've been talking to Mr. Proutsett on the phone. You put the dogs away in a cage, a crate, inside the home, and you go to bed. Did you check on Sebastian at that time?
I did not.
Okay. Do you normally?
Not typically. Since he's gotten older, I've not been checking on him as frequently throughout the night because normally he's good to go in his room once he goes to bed.
Earlier you had stated you heard a noise in his room before you went to bed. What time was that?
Around 10 o'clock.
10 p.m. What did it sound like?
Just a thud.
A thud. You stated that you said, look, I don't care what you're doing in there, go to bed. Is that right?
I was on the couch, which is near his room, and I said, Bubba, did you fall out of the bed? And he said, no, ma'am. And I said, well, whatever you're doing in there, knock it off and go to sleep.
So you heard his voice at 10 p.m.?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any idea what the sound actually was?
I do not, no.
CPS has gone to Katie's house before. You didn't know about that until this investigation. How does that make you feel?
That somebody somewhere dropped the ball because I was never informed. And I'm the biological father. I have joint physical custody. Somebody dropped the ball and didn't reach out and inform the father, which is me. And I don't understand why the state dropped the ball on that one.
And how did you find out about CPS?
Podcast.
And walk me through the events that happened, from Sunday leading up to Monday when you didn't see him that morning.
Sunday, we were out and about. We had a really good day. We were out doing our thing, running around. We had dinner that evening, and when we came home, we had a pretty good evening together as well. He was playing right up until bedtime, and then some I let him stay up a little late. And when I told him to go to bed, he was like, I love you, Mom. I love you, puppies. And he went to bed. And I went to bed around midnight. Everything seemed fine. And when I went to wake him up for school, that's when I couldn't find him. He wasn't in his room, and he wasn't in the house. And that's when I panicked.
And when you panicked, what did you do?
First thing I did was call my husband, and I said, he's not here. My husband said, what do you mean he's not here? I said, he's not in the house. And he said, immediately just started, did you check here? Did you check there? Did you look here? And I ran to the house, and at that point I was hysterical, for lack of a word. And
we three-wayed the police, and I'm within minutes they were here. I couldn't tell you exactly how long. I know it was fast. And we haven't found him.
When I got there, there was already law enforcement presence there. So I walked in and just started listening to what was going on. I wanted to hear what was going on. So I got to hear her telling law enforcement asking questions, me listening to the questions and listening to the responses from his mother.
Did you form any opinion based upon what you were hearing?
Knew my son was missing, and I just started watching body language, listening to words coming out. Did I form an opinion? Yeah, I formed an opinion. I am only human.
And what was that opinion?
That again, once again, my son, something has happened to my son under her watch. And once again, she wasn't being an adult. She wasn't being a parent taking care of an autistic child.